10 years ago, the body of 19-year-old Karina Saunders was found dismembered behind a grocery store in Bethany, Oklahoma. Two men were charged with her murder in 2012, but less than a year later, those charges were dropped. It remains an unsolved murder, and that fact leads to the rest of the story. Here's reporter Steve Shaw.
Rich, Karina Saunders' unsolved murder continues to haunt her family. It also motivates her sister Sara to travel a road that, while righteous, it's also been very painful and filled with unknowns.
I knew as a kid that I wanted to be a police officer. And as I got older, I got pregnant really young, and I became a mom. And I was in an abusive marriage for a good 5 years.
Sara Sanders doesn't sugarcoat anything that's happened to her family in the last decade. Sara's kid sister, Karina Saunders, was 2 years younger. Karina lived with her mother. Sara lived with their dad. Karina was a 2010 Mustang High School graduate who Sara says had a college accounting scholarship waiting for her. She says Karina loved the arts, played in the school band, school choir, and even dabbled with singing in the opera. But for some reason, Sara believes it started with marijuana. Her sister went down the wrong path.
And then she kind of, slipped off the bandwagon. And when she did that, I took a step back. I had kids. I could not let my kids see that life, drugs and whatever decision she was making. So I didn't see my little sister for a year before she was murdered.
Karina Saunders was last seen on October 8, 2011, getting into a red SUV outside Newcastle Casino. 3 days later, her dismembered body was found cut up in a duffel bag behind this grocery store near Northwest 23rd and Rockwell Avenue in Bethany.
It's a guilt that eats at you. I should have been there. I should have protected her. She deserved a better sister. She deserved more from me. So that's something that I live with every day. I was not who she needed me to be. Granted, I had my reasons, but at the end of the day, those reasons don't ever seem like they were enough at this point in my life.
Since Karina's body was found in Bethany, it was up to the Bethany Police Department to first try to solve this case.
And it's been 10 years, a little bit over now, and it's still never been solved. So to me, Bethany PD messed up that investigation. They dropped the ball. Eventually OSBI got it, but at that point, there was things that were already lost. It was, OSBI still has it, and it still hasn't been solved. And to be a family member of someone that was murdered, and to feel like not one single detective, not one single agent at the OSBI, none of them really cared. Like, to them, it was just another story. It's just another death. It's just another murder. We might solve it, we might not. But to us, it's every day. You go to sleep, and you wake up in the morning, and it's the same hurt, but it's new again. You wake up and it's like, oh, she's still dead. You wake up, oh, she's still dead. We don't know why. We don't know what happened. It's almost like waiting for a ship that's never going to come in. You don't get that closure. So for being that person, I never want somebody else to have to feel the way I feel. I don't want somebody to suffer and lose their sister or child or cousin or whatever the way that my family has and still feel like no one cares.
For the record, at Bethany Police Headquarters Tuesday, I spoke to Police Chief J.D. Reed about Sara Sanders' harsh analysis. He told me, quote, "What we say is not going to change her beliefs. We hope the best for her and her career in law enforcement." That's right. Nearly 10 years after her sister's execution, Sara Sanders, this past June, started an intense 4-month-long, 650-hour program called Basic Peace Officer CLEET Certification. Metro Tech in Southeast Oklahoma City offers the class in a partnership with the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office.
They learn everything. They learn everything from what they need to do while out on patrol, to basic law, to self-defense, to driving, to shooting. They learn it all there.
Oklahoma County Sheriff spokesman Aaron Brilbeck says what Sara Sanders is pursuing is not a publicity stunt.
It would be very easy for her to be angry and to be bitter about the way that her sister's case was handled and the fact that she still doesn't have answers. She still doesn't know exactly what happened. But rather than be angry and be bitter, she's decided to channel that into trying to help others who may find themselves in the same situations.
Boy, hit her. Okay, there you go. Hit the bag. Find the bag in front of you.
Saunders wrapped up what clearly can be grueling physical training on October 29th.
From June to October, we were here. Some weeks it was 5 days a week, most weeks it was 4 days a week. And you're here 10, 11 hours a day. If it's firearms training or DT, you may be here till late at night. I mean, whatever it takes to complete what you have to complete, to learn what you have to learn to be safe on the streets and to protect people. Eventually I want to be a homicide detective, and I know it's going to take a lot more training and education and experience on the streets to be able to get to that point. But I do eventually want to be a homicide detective. You can only sit back so long and wait for people to find answers for you. You want to get something done, you go do it yourself. That's what I'm doing.
On November 1st, Sara took that next step when she began her new career as an officer at a police department on the east side of the Sooner State. We're talking about a woman who decided last January to make big changes in her life. Sara is a former longtime diesel mechanic who also did stints as a mail carrier in Tuttle and as a college student at Rose State. And she's a mother of 5, all under the age of 14.
I know it sounds crazy and they're scared. I know they are. That doesn't mean I'm not scared, but if not me, then who? If not now, then when? You know, to me, the journey and the goal and the fight and proving to my kids that they can do anything that they want is worth the risk that I'm taking. And I think they understand that. It's giving them a different sense of direction. Coming from a family background, it's not really great. So I'm taking my kids and I'm taking them from this path of people that are on drugs and alcoholics and crime to this one. You can do good, you can do right, you can fight for what you want, and anything that you believe in you can do, and we're gonna stay on this path, and this is where we're gonna go.
The OSBI yesterday offered a statement that reads in part, "The OSBI applauds Sara for her passion to be a member of law enforcement. Her drive and dedication will benefit every family she encounters during her law enforcement career. To this day, we passionately investigate Karina's murder, following every lead that comes into the OSBI.